Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to be painting this gorgeous, serene, dreaming face. It's super beginner friendly. I'm going to be breaking down this whole class step by step, really explaining every color mix, every technique, every tool. If you check the description below, you will find the material list also listed there. We're going to go over it in the video, but it's also there and it's also on the website. On the website, theartsherpa.com, if you go to the tab for traceables, that requires a little scrolling, a tab for traceables, and you click that, you'll be able to download the traceable if you don't want to draw along with me today. Now, I am going to sketch this in, and we're going to use the object's placement on the surface to do that. So that's also kind of a no draw option, but if you're just ready for that more adventurous little run, so you can use either the traceable or that. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hello.
Now, John and I are coming out the other side of having a bit of a cold and an art retreat. But you're going to notice that I'm super energetic and very happy. And that's because my art retreat was so amazing and so incredible and so restorative. There was a Magic Secret Circle Girl Night where a bunch of us really got together and talked, and I don't know, just restored my faith in humanity. So I hope that shows and glows and comes through, because I've been really little down, and now I feel like amazing. Like I feel like myself. I feel like I'm reinvigorated. I love teaching. I love beginners. I love people again. It's like amazing. So I'm feeling, even though I'm coming off of that big work week and COVID, I feel actually kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. We've had a real thing because the move and the accident. It's been a bit of a thing.
Stuff.
I weirdly feel so great. So today's lesson is about this painting. It will be broken down step by step. It is focused for beginners. But what I really mean here is, what does that mean, focused for beginners? Well, there's a lot of stuff that could explain things step by step. But there's also a secret, powerful, cool thing here, and that is the community. So if you're here for the live chat and you want to say hi, say hi. And if you have a question, put it all in caps, because during this live show, I might answer your question. But I'm so much a teacher about beginners that if you're here on replay and you have a question, just leave it in the comments below and I will answer that question. You can write support@theartsherpa.com and I will answer that question, because I have a lot of subscribers, and I think that kind of throws people into thinking like, oh, she's an influencer, but I'm not. I'm a beginning art teacher. That's like totally what I do. And I do it because I know art is fun. It makes me feel better. And I know it makes you guys feel better. But also, more importantly, it's us talking to each other and pushing back that isolation we can all fall into, so that makes us feel really, really great. So there's a lot of special energy here. And I just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on that. Shall we go over the materials, John?
Absolutely.
I think we should. Don't you think we should? I think we should. All right. I see Molly Short here is coming in from Arkansas. We almost had a retreat in Arkansas a few years back in Hot Springs. And I want to shout out, because I think Hot Springs is just epic and awesome. Actually, I think Arkansas is epic and awesome. Love the people there.
I do too.
So are you ready to get going?
I am. I'm going to see if I can.
This is a little. There's my edge right there. So you're all on.
Just on, there's just a shadow on the edge.
I could.
And what happens is the camera settles.
I could nudge. Is that what we're going to call it? Oh, well, my goodness, the bug is being generous. Now, the bug should. Just everyone hug the bug. Everyone hug the bug. Let's see if I can get this positioning maybe a little more. Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's fantastic. Okay. So this surface is 11 by 14. That's going to be important because I'm going to be measuring object relationships so that we can get the same size face on here. Again, there's a traceable. You don't have to go through that process, but it's 11 by 14 stretch canvas. I have the colors burnt sienna, yellow ochre, cad red medium. You don't have to have cad red medium pure pigment. You could have hue. So that's a place to save money. I have quinacridone magenta and I have cad yellow medium. That hue works there too. Hue just means they don't use the actual pure pigment. They use a mix of colors, generally Hansa, to approximate cad yellow, right? I've got Mars black, phthalo blue, phthalo green, and titanium white. I see that Lindsay Michelle is here from Louisiana. I did not know Lindsay was from Louisiana. And Heather C is dropping some generosity on us. So the Bug and Heather are being very loving, and I appreciate that. Okay, shall we throw up steps? We like to do these in steps. I'm going to explain each step. Those steps get time-stamped, and I actually put them in the thing later so you can find your spot again. And we kind of write out instructions that match the photographs we take with the steps. So later, sometimes a resource comes out called a chapter, but basically it's the instructions, the written instructions to this. But we write it post, so it can take a minute to come out. I think I'm going to sketch in with a filbert. How does that sound today, John?
It sounds nutty to me.
Now I'm going to take a tool. This matte tool is called a T-square, and it helps me measure things. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to say it about just a hair over the 6.5 inch mark, or right at between 16 and 17 centimeters. I'm going to make just a little mark, a little touch. And this is just a filbert number 6. Now I'm going to come over from this side. You're going to notice that I will always be quietly wiping off my ruler. 3 inches from the right. Again, if this is hard, traceable. This will also help you place traceable though. From the top is 2 inches. And then from the bottom, man, I am like, it's crazy. I will freehand things in, and then they will match my original measurements in some kind of just wild way, you know?
I learned an interesting thing about the filbert.
What did you learn about the filbert, John?
Do you know where its name comes
this is
from?
not rehearsed. Yeah, I do. But you want to tell me?
It's a nut.
Really?
Hazelnut.
It's a hazelnut.
Andrew told me that.
That's fantastic. It's a hazelnut.
Because if you look at the end of it, it looks like the end of a hazelnut.
Well, I had not heard that before.
I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. I add a little water to my brush just so that I can come here and sort of, I'm going to sketch down from my cheek point down to where my chin point was. And I'm going to come back around. This is going to be a light little sketch because we're going to paint in the background, but we're doing our sketching in first so we can really see it. I'm sketching with paint. Guess why? So you can see it.
So it'll show up and not be difficult to like strain your eyes on different screens. To be
exactly.
Like,
Exactly. I'm just letting you guys see it. I'm coming around. I'm just using burnt sienna. You don't need to use that. You don't need to do that. We're not going to do the features right now. I'm going to come from on each side of the chin. I'm going to bring down just a little long neck, and then at the end I will swirl that down. There we go. That's the basis. Now we're going to do the features later. I just want this in so that when I do my blendy background, my face is already in. Isn't that nice? That's all you're really doing initially is the circle. Yeah. And notice that these lines, I'm not worried if a line is thick or a line is thin or messy. And the reason is because we're going to paint all over it. If you can, it doesn't show up great for us always, but there's a yellow chalk, which I don't really use. I'm not doing that part yet, John.
Not a fan. Yeah, no.
You can use chalk though, and that will vanish into the paint. So you have lots of choices here. Do we have any questions as we go on to the next step?
Go back over here. I was looking over at all the things that you had going on, which was very interesting. There is interesting stuff over here. Are you planning on doing watercolors soon?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got that. I was at the retreat. We did watercolors. I got all energized around watercolors again. Basically, I figured out I've got to be releasing a video every day on this channel and other channels. So maybe there's going to be too much content. I don't know. I have to talk to John about it after the show.
Shirley was asking. She doesn't have any magenta, and she can't seem to get her hands on any. There's just some shortage. Can she make a subject? So
I think, Shirley, you're being limited in your thought about what this color is because this is such a common color. There would be, well, actually, we were just recently out of white, so
it could be.
It could be. I need to check on a paint shortage. So anything that says, you could do Quinn Red, but anything that's kind of like, here's the PR 122 is the pigment code to this color.
Okay.
Right. So when you come here, this is 671. And again, this is real common. It's PR 122, and PR 122 is the base formula for the quinacridone magenta family. Now those can run to a primary magenta, and you can check Golden Artist Colors for primary magenta, all the way to a very deep maroon magenta, but it will be magenta in that range, PR 122. Just sort of like PP7 is going to be brown.
Gotcha.
Some of the times it'll be really rusty, sometimes it'll be really deep, but it's going to be in that range.
No.
So that's something that you can do. And that would be really weird, though, for that to be out of stock, though.
Now, interesting question. That brush in your hand's a blending brush, right?
It is.
Okay, now if you don't have one of those, I don't have a hog brush. Will a flat catalyst brush work the same for blending?
I could do it.
It's just a matter of like trying and trial and error.
Blending isn't about the brush. Blending is about the paint being wet and your pressure and then the brush. So the priority of stuff is it's much looser and lower.
Okay. So now we should go on to step 2.
All right. Let's hit some step 2 stuff, sir.
This goes step 2. Then we'll have
Step
more questions
2.
next.
All right. We'll do questions before 3. All right. I'm going to take this is a 1-inch Princeton Select oval mop, and I got it slightly damp. And I'm going to load up a little bit of white paint on my brush here. And you can see I'm going back and forth into that. I might grab a little drop of water. I mean like 1 drop on the corner of my brush. And I'm going to come here and brush the canvas with this white paint. Why am I painting it white first, you might ask? The canvas is already coated with the white paint, right?
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we are it's not like liquid white like what we remember Bob Ross using, but we're just starting with a nice beginning of a wet white paint. And then when I go into my quinacridone, can you see this here? And I blend it right into the white. Look at that go. It's very soft, isn't it? This is a back kind of interesting way into getting softer colors. Sometimes it's very hard to blend. And one way that we can kind of get our blending working is to sort of pre-paint the surface, especially for doing light pastels like we are right now. So this is the quinacridone magenta. I put a little coat of white down and now I'm blending into it. I'll put a little more pink here and let's pink our corner. See how we're doing? So this paint is wet and this paint is wet and this brush is blending the two of them. That can be a weird, tricky thing when you're new. And then come down here. A very weird and tricky thing when you're new. I might grab just a smidge of my phthalo, which I don't normally do for purple. I normally do for ultramarine. But today we're going to have this, and we're going to come here. That's a little heavy, so when it's a little heavy, what I do is I kind of wipe my brush off on a paper towel and then come back. See how that lightened it? That's another way to control the load. I'm just going to put a little dusting of pinky purple down here. Blendy, 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 blendy. Blendy, 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 blendy. Just something to play with, and I can bring it out into the canvas. I will sometimes change brush directions. I will sometimes rotate the brush in my hand. How are you guys loving this? You should be hearing the brushes going whoosh, 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 whoosh. Now, your number one enemy to success in this project, I'm going to grab some pure magenta over here and kind of mix it into my white because I want some more pink. I'll grab a drop of water and come up here. My wet paint is still there. It hasn't dried on me yet. Acrylic dries pretty fast. So that's why you see me moving at speed. Acrylic paint does not blend well once it's dry.
Or at speed.
At all.
I'm not sure what that is, but we are at it.
We're at speed. Now I just grabbed some blue on here.
Now I'm going to make an adjustment here.
Okay, and I'm coming in and I'm dusting, and notice I'm not worried too much about going over my lines. I could come up to the side here and be very fussy, but I find that what works best is to just roll with the flow. Work in that corner, and I want to make a nice little blendy, 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 blend. I do a lot of blending practices like this with my new painters. And the reason I do that is this is probably the most challenging skill for new painters to sort of master is that focused?
Yes.
That's just my eyes then, I guess.
No. I've readjusted. You just had a very nice blended
Dude,
thing.
I overlooked.
No. Because you could still see that there's the very soft, what do you call it? Pencil marks. And you see the ruler on the side? It's just super blended. It took me a minute to
Do you know what? I discovered what goes on with our color. This is the end of that step. Yes, through an internet mystery.
What's internet
Would you like to hear the internet mystery? Apparently, there was a wallpaper that killed a Galaxy phone if you didn't have 11 installed on it. And the reason is it had Pro RGB gamut on it, and cameras and at that time, Galaxy phones had a very narrow color range. I paint outside of the gamut of the cameras.
Oh, I already knew that. That's why these cameras. That's why I kept.
People are always like, "Your work's so colorful."
Yeah, I that's why these cameras have been upgraded from the last cameras, and the next camera. These are all.
It was an internet mystery.
Yeah, no.
Now listen, blending is hard. Okay. Blending is hard. I have whole videos about blending. And if you are having an experience where you're like, man, her paint all came together and my paint is not coming together, you've really got to watch my 6 ways to blend video just to introduce you to the concepts, ideas, tools, and techniques that can help you troubleshoot your specific problems at home, right? Because you might be, as we talked about, in Florida. Right? And you're inside in weather conditioning and you've got a humidity outside and weather conditioning inside. That can make some crazy drying experiences for your paint. If you're in Arizona, you have some crazy fast drying paint. You might need to switch to Golden Open if you're going to continue to be in Arizona. That's slow drying acrylic. You don't really need to do that. But that's sort of what's going on. Is that Patty Hoffman? I love hearing from Patty. Thank you. All right, let's dry this thoroughly. Did you hand me my hair dryer?
I think. Let me see what I can do here. I'll say.
No, it's
not. I think. Oh, I know where it is. Hold on a second.
Well, we tested it before we went live. So we did test our hair dryer before we went live, and that means that, it's at my foot. You put it on my foot? Okay, thank you.
Don't turn it on. I'll get back to my desk.
That was a good prediction of who your spouse is. Don't turn it on until I get back to my desk, says John, because he's met me. Lindsay Michelle, am I right? Magenta is made with dark purple with light pink. Is made. Are you saying no? No. That is not what the pigment is. I totally get what you're asking. Does the dark purple come from a light pink? No, the reason there's a difference, even though it's the same pigment, is because they treat it differently. Sometimes they heat it, sometimes they add other chemistry to it, sometimes they source from different places. So that's why there's such a big variance, even in brown.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now I can mute you. You can go back.
All right. I will go. Mute me. Enjoy that moment, sweetheart, because it won't last long.
All right. Okay. So now it's all working. Thank you guys. As you can see, we have made minor adjustments to the studio. Things are changing and happening all the time here. It's an exciting day in the Sherpa studio. So thank you guys for joining us. We really love having you guys. It's amazing privilege to be here in your art journey and being part of that and having you part of our little adventure family. Because this is very nice. You'll find that all the people here are very fun to hang out with. That's why if you haven't come to live, highly suggest that you do. Also, if you have a chance to make it to one of the group things that we do, we all get together. Also very fun. As Simon was saying, those are great. We're going to be doing a lot more of those, just public get-togethers, especially as the new year rolls around. We actually have a pretty full fall schedule. We got the store finally working. It's functioning. So we're going to be able to start doing marketing and things in there. That's going to be pretty cool.
Ooh, I got a good one from a Deb Paloccio of Genome Thread Artistry. They asked, paint dries here in New Mexico so fast. I've invested several mediums to help, but it's a struggle to get good blending. I understand that, Deb. And we learned something about Deb.
Yeah.
Deb can paint with red.
That's interesting.
It is actually. It's a very interesting thing. It's very cool. It's very gorgeous.
I love that old school
Now,
string
we're
art.
going to go ahead and do this again. And the reason we're going to do this again is because you guys are new to painting. And the chances that your first layer came out exactly as you wanted it are probably pretty slim. That comes with experience and time. So first, notice if it feels a little patchy or a little blotchy. Very normal. You're exactly where you should be. But also know that as you practice this technique, you'll be able to get it one and done. But we're going to hit it again just to make sure your background makes you feel great, okay? So all what we just did, what we just practiced, with the exception of the white. We're not going to pre-paint it white. Okay, I'm getting my brush, the same brush, nice and wet. I'm going to grab a little bit of my magenta, and I'll mix it into my white and see how that's nice and saturated. When I come back over everything the second time, you'll notice that the colors punch a little more. You'll also notice that your brush may have less drag or resistance as you paint the canvas. That is because acrylic paint really loves other layers of acrylic paint. I'm going to come across the top up here. And so when you paint a layer and then come back and paint another layer, it all goes a little more smoothly. I'm grabbing a little more white and mixing it in. And so that is something I've learned over the years to encourage beginners to do on these more blended backgrounds to prevent the stripes, is hit it 2 or even 3 times until you get the blend. There really isn't. You could do 100 coats of paint on this if you felt like it. I don't know. That seems like a YouTube video, but you know when they were doing the 100 layers?
Yeah.
Every time I say 100 now, I think 100 tampons. And I wonder if it's enough.
Can't go to space was just one.
Man, they were just like, you're going to be up there a week. Do you need 100 tampons? Like, God, I hope not, because that's medical emergency and I won't be home soon.
Everyone's like, oh, you're going to have to explain this now.
So there's a very famous event that happened. I'm coming up here. Now, as I go down, I'm going to blend into the blue and purple, where in the space program, one of their early female astronauts was going up, and I think there was maybe some possibility that her period was going to be going on. And so they sent her with 100 tampons because they weren't sure, would it be enough? They were like, will it be enough? It was enough.
I think they knew. I think they just may have had redundancy in mind.
No, actually, I think on this one, it really was sometimes high IQ, low wisdom. Oh, so funny. Anyways, there's a really fun song about it called 100 Tampons that a comedian wrote, and it tickles me. And now whenever I hear the word 100, I think of it. See how I'm just blending. I'm getting this great color, and it's just rich and beautiful. That is what is going on. I grab a little more blue and a little more of that. I'm going to get one drop of water. If you're having water control issues, guess what? I made a video about it. How to control the amount of water on your brush, no matter what the brush is, no matter what the paint is. It's one of those awesome, awesome resources that I'm very proud of that really can make a big difference in your outcome. No getting frustrated with yourself. No getting mad at yourself. Okay, I know it's easy to do, to just be like, oh, really hard on yourself. That negative self-talk is really challenging, isn't it? Yeah. It just tears you down. Really, I saw a young girl on TikTok today just crying about having being neurodivergent. She's on the spectrum. She has ADHD and autism, and she's just having a hard time doing regular things. And she was just really angry and so frustrated with herself. Instead of seeing like, well, I guess what I saw as a creator, and I don't know if I'll send a message or not, was that she had a whole TikTok full of amazing, creative, inventive videos. She's great at so many things, and she may not be good at organizing, but that's okay. But that negative self-talk that just breaks you down.
Yeah.
All right, so we've done it by now. We should have a fairly good blended background. And here's what's fantastic. Even if you feel like you don't, you could hit it again a third time. Your goal is to practice this technique for the transitions. Oh my goodness. Do you have any questions for me before I hit the dryer? Should I do them after the dryer, do you think? Dryer before, dryer after.
Well, let's go ahead and let's do it now here. So, Jean was asking, do you use floating medium?
I do not use floating medium, and okay, so here's the thing. I use gloss glazing liquid. Really not a glazing liquid. It does it, but it's a slow drying extender for acrylic colors. So what this does is this does slow down the drying time of the paint. It improves the flow of the paint and the brush, and it also allows you to glaze. So it has some things in common with floating medium. And I often say to people who are in craft bottle paint, hey, you could grab some floating medium because that's the product that they have that improves blendability and flow. But this really is the one that I use. The reason that I use it is a lot of these products, with the exception of floating medium is also pretty beginner friendly. A lot of the slow dryers for acrylic paint are not beginner friendly. And if you get too much of them, they make your paint sticky forever.
Yeah.
Sticky forever is not great on an acrylic paint. It just becomes a big weird dust bunny. Okay, I'm going to dry this unless I have another question.
Okay, more questions come back.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So, yeah, thank you guys. Again, we were lamenting before you left. And, yes. So I was just getting caught up here in chat as well. And it's very nice to have you along with us, Jean. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And hello from the Netherlands. It's nice to see you as well. And I'll go through here and catch any more questions as they come up. But don't forget, links, description below. You can find stuff like links to our website, where we have a working store link, which works there now. And we have, we believe it works, $10 flat rate shipping. That should be working all, and that's working pretty cool. The school is there.
Yeah. Do we still have school?
We have school.
We have school. We have $10 flat rate shipping.
I know. I was like, oh yeah, we forgot about all that. Like, we should actually at some point talk. Like,
the team pointed out to me that I got really excited in the newsletter copy, and I was like, super fast shipping. But they were like, yeah, we didn't improve the speed of the shipping. We just improved the cost. I was like, but I wrote this great copy and I spell checked. It was so brilliant. And they're like, yeah, I mean, that's optimistically true.
But, the warehouse every day is working on making incremental improvements in shipping speed. So. Absolutely.
And
it's all about incremental improvement.
All right.
This
so now we have the business end of the face, which I know can feel a little anxious making and troublesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to come from the top of our head that I sketched in to the chin, right? And that ends up being about a 6-inch head. And right here, because I'm raising the hair and I'm doing some other things, normally, if you're doing, correct face, you might do it dead on at 3. But I'm doing a stylized face, so I'm going to do it a little bit above. I'm going to come up here just a little above 3. Okay, I'm doing that there. Then at the 4-inch, like just below 3.5, I don't know what this one is. What is that one called? 2 3/4?
Yes, quarters.
2 3/4. This is the mark. Exactly. 2 inches and 3/4, or 7 centimeters. Then I'm going to come down to the 4-inch mark and make another thing. And then down between 4 to the 4.5, just below 5. And that kind of lets me know where my features are going to be. Again, if you don't want to do this part of it, do the traceable. It's okay. Just don't keep saying, I can't draw. That's the deal. Use all the traceables you want for free forever. But it's not that you can't draw. Guess what? Jean is here. Jean Saunders is here for the first time, John. Made a live for the first time.
Oh,
I think that's very exciting. All right. So I'm going to come down to, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 marks, right? So I'm going to come down between my eye mark and my mouth mark, and I'm going to make just a little bend. Isn't that lovely? Below it, I'm going to make another little bend. And then I come over that. 2 little mountains. And then under there, just to make a little mouth. Now, nostrils, we all know the rule. Look at us go. Right? Once I've got my eyebrows in, I may come up here. I'm going to come to the inside of that eye, and I'm going to just arc another little eyebrow. Just two little bows to be eyebrows. Isn't that lovely? And you can even, if you need to, sketch your face back in. I'm using a number 6 Raphael Sepia round. This is listed in the description. Every brush I'm using is listed in the description, so that can be easy to find later. I'm just kind of lightly sketching in these lines again so they look tidy. All right. That worked out fairly well, didn't it? I'm excited for it. I'll bring that over here. Now I'm going to grab my number 6 filbert. Let's call this a step, though. Creative with Jada was homeschooled for 5 years, and I loved having you guys as my art teacher. What? Thank you. Hi.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. What brand of paint do I use? I use Senele Acrylic. I use Abstract by Senele. I use Golden Artist Colors. I use Matisse Derivan. I use Holbein. I use Artist Loft Level 3. I have a blog. Basically, I just list every acrylic paint I could find on the planet, and then I just ranked them on the ones that I liked, and then stuff I've never used is below the line. All right, have we done a step?
Yes.
All right, let's do some skin tones.
Okay.
This is going to be super fun. I'm going to take out a little of my yellow ochre. Woo, yellow ochre. And I'm using a number 6 filbert. I'm going to grab a smidge of my cad red. That's lovely. And make a little warmed up yellow ochre. You'll notice I press the paint out of my brush. And then sometimes I'll wipe it off on the paper towel. I'm going to make a very, very light value with this color. Now, the reason I'm going into the color very gently is because it is super easy to over tint. And you don't want that. You don't over tint, do you?
Well, I accidentally hit the fade to black button, but it was okay.
Did you?
It went boop, boop.
We're still online, though.
Oh, yeah. No,
oh, okay.
I pushed it back again. It was just...
I have been here where I have been talking and John hasn't told me that we've gone online. He gets his back, though, so. And then oftentimes YouTubes will seam the whole thing together. I'm going to kind of come under that little line there. I will leave just enough of my lines available to me so that when I come back, I know where they are. So I will paint kind of carefully around these lines. That's just so that I don't have to work to save my features. You'll notice that I follow the line of the face and the curve of the stroke. And I'm really just going to paint in this whole area with this color. So this is a great base for a light skin tone. But yellow ochre and cad red is a base for many, many skin tones. I'm going to come under here and be kind of polite about the light. You can see just painting in and around my lines. And the lines are going to help me not get lost. See how they're keeping me?
Yeah.
It's not too stressful. This is a great first face. If you've never mixed a skin tone, if you've never just done any of this, this is a good place to start. My phone is buzzing at me. And you'll notice I don't need that much of it retained. Just enough so I know where I am and I don't get lost. That's what you need, just enough so you know where you are and you don't get lost. So here are some decisions that I was making. I went really up into the lines, right? It's okay if some of the line got a little over painted. That means like some of my paint went on there. As long as I can see that there's line there and there's a line here where it is, I'm okay. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get too lost. I'm going to be all right. Just making sure I got some paint everywhere. Okay. Now we're going to come back and we're going to do this again a little more seriously.
After you dry it?
After I dry it. After I dry. Because you know why?
Because
Oh, hello, Vamika Sharma. Make sure I have older auntie eyes. So I think I have that exactly right. Vamika Sharma, hello. It is so nice to have you here. How are you doing today? I hope you're having fun painting with us. I'm going to dry my canvas. I put out a little more white paint. I think I'm going to put out even a little more. I know I'm going to be using quite a lot of it. And can I explain about face values? Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways because human beings have the biodiversity, the diversity that we have. There are so many. I mean, if you just talk about makeup, like the biases of your underskin tones, the variety of skin tones, and then on a face, there are so many skin tones. Like whenever you're going in to match makeup, you're like, which skin tone am I matching? This one, this one, this one. So think of our face as a very bumpy ball. And so there are values of light and dark because of light and shadow. And then within skin tone is a pretty amazing range from very fair undertone peach skin to a deep, dark, rich, almost with a blue-black cast of it, kind of mahogany. It's just extraordinary, like the range. And there is a skin tone mixing recipe book, 400 skin tone recipes, that I love because it covers stuff like not just all of the skin tones that you would need to mix, but also on a face, no matter what skin tone you're mixing, the nose, the tops of the ears, the chin, the chest area. Am I answering the wrong question?
Oh, no, that's great. And also, moderator Quinacridone dropped the skin tone playlist up above.
Oh, wonderful. Did anyone see my question? Lonnie, I saw that. Congratulations, Phyllis, on being... Lindsay saying titanium white got sold out.
Lonnie was asking why you put the features in first and then paint the skin tone in. Why not paint the skin tone and then put the features in?
Because when I do it with students live, you guys get lost in your virtual.
It's easier to make sure that stays in.
Yeah. I don't have to go into a painting from any particular angle, right? Like I could just start at a corner and go.
A lot of times,
if I just do what I'm doing, it's a hot mess. You could not follow it. So we always have to make a strategy when we're teaching about how do I from here help you, a student, remotely at home when I cannot see you or be there to give you a hug when you're frustrated. I have to imagine in not a creepy way that I'm in your house with you. And I have to imagine all the things that could be going wrong and be causing you trouble and come up with different strategies to work around that. So that's why I would do that. And then did I get everyone or I miss one? How long have I been doing this? I've been painting my whole life, but I have been painting remotely online for 10 years. Like, I'm not as old as the first elephant video that was on YouTube, but like I'm here. What?
Yeah, it's getting on now.
Isn't it about 10?
Maybe a little more.
Okay.
It's
2014.
Yeah. So it's been a bit.
So it's been a bit. I think it's 10. All right, I'm gonna dry it real quick, and then we're gonna come in and do the next layer.
There we go. Yep. Yeah, I think so. We've been doing this for a little while, and then Cinnamon had been doing something very similar to this right before. So I had we had to say I lost my job last would not cover sufficiently the shenanigans. There was a bankruptcy, and then they shifted my my visa into another company that I had never worked with. So it was then a violation of Canadian policy, and there was this cascade of horrible events that caused Cinema and I to rapidly leave Canada in a not expecting to kind of way. And then when we got to Houston and we were rebuilding our life, she started just painting. And it was like, well, I want to go outside and paint with some people. And so she went outside and painted with some people and earning some money. And we really needed it at the time. And then all of a sudden we had paintings on the wall. And then she was like, I want to do this for more people. So we did it for more people on YouTube. And now we're here.
That is the shortest straw of my life I've ever seen. That's like a doodle my life.
It's like, yeah, we drove across the country and then we were here.
Rick Jam, Nana Bates has made it, which I think is super exciting. Yes, Amy, we are feeling better. And then I saw someone say whenever they hear me, Bree says, whenever you say it's going to be super fun, I get anxiety. Yeah, I get that. So if we're having an anxiety, let's sit for a second with it. And just remember where we are. We're in the art studio. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not checking your work. You don't need to have your work checked, right?
Yep.
We're painting. You are going to accomplish a painting. All you have to do is persevere from the beginning to the end. You might love this painting. You might not love this painting, but you will have a painting. And if you keep doing that on a rinse and repeat cycle, you will be doing art regularly and you will get better over time. That's just the result of it. It's amazing to see. I can't tell you how many people now that have painted with me for the 10 years. I used to have a thing, no pro artists, because pro artists would come in and just take over the whole group. And they don't realize on Facebook that group isn't about them showing off. It's about beginners having a safe place to share their paintings. It's not even about me. It's about the people in the group. And now I have painters that are so good.
It's true.
I'm like, I can't just look at the work and know that somebody's professional. I have to go look and make sure that they're selling and they've got websites, all the other trappings are there, right? And then even then I have to go back and look at the whole history of their account because sometimes they've just, they're on 1,000th painting and but generally people in our community they come back to help others. So
yeah, it's true.
We've worked that one out. That's a fun thing to do. All right.
Yeah, is this new step?
Celtic Peasant is here. And another good...
I think it's Celtic Peasant.
Celtic. All right. Thank you.
I don't think they're a basketball player.
I don't know the difference between any of those things.
What one's a basketball player and the other one's a group of
If
people?
you say, I believe you.
It's all right.
No, I think you're correct. Thank you.
It's okay.
I receive it and I accept it. I'm just like, you could have been like,
common thing.
It's a cork. And I've been like, great.
It's like one of those easy to mix up,
Okay.
Is it a step or did you need
Let's
a dry?
do a step. I did a dry.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of change. We're going to add a new brush in. We're going to do another layer.
This is definitely another section.
Yeah.
We're in.
All right, step 6. So we're going to come back in and I'm going to get my white back into my skin tone. And we're going to go over this again for that second coat. Because a lot of times in our first coat, we don't really get things where we want it, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to mix in. Now, I have somewhere a grayscale, and I'm going to start using that. So heads up, if you grab a grayscale, it will be coming up in future lessons. But I will send a newsletter out about it as well. I'm going to come underneath the chin, and you can see that I'm stroking smoothly following the line of the chin. When acrylic paint is dry, it does a thing called color shift. It darkens a shade. So sometimes you will actually have the exact same color, but your wet paint is lighter than your dry paint. Don't panic. We're just following the brush strokes, like coming around the lips. This really will help you. Somebody had pointed out that even having this helps people pay attention to the planes of the face. And it comes straight up through the nose, up over the eyes, and then, of course, across the broad of the forehead. I haven't even contoured her yet. I'm not going to. You can, though. You can fully contour your painting. I'm not going to mess with you so you can't. Come up over the forehead here. And you should find on that second coat that the skin tone is smooth and very blended and working out very, very well. Almost to the end of it, so I may have to kind of mix in a little more. That's always an interesting part of the journey when you're like, I'm almost out of the color I mixed at the beginning, but I'm going to get through. So at this point, you should have a fairly smooth application of skin tone, Barbie-like even. Right? Where it's just all kind of one even skin tone-ish.
Yeah.
Right? But just throughout the face. And then I'm going to take a little bit of brown onto my brush. And see how I'm doing that here? And work that into the skin tone. My burnt sienna. Let's come under the chin. Maybe even a little more. Under the chin. And down the side of the neck, and we're going to just blend right in. Can you see how we're blending right in?
I do. I see it blending. Oh, Deborah says it's so nice. She says, Cinnamon, you're amazing. You seem to be a person who loves people deeply.
I do. I have had some struggles with some people, and I realized what it was from the retreat. We had this magic night where a bunch of us just sat up and talked till 4 a.m, and we talked about everything. And we had just an incredibly amazing salad of humans. Just a salad. It was just, we just had so much in common, but we all came from different places and backgrounds, and we were able to just talk to each other about anything. And it was nice to remember that there are just good and kind human beings in the world, and you can have conversations and you can hear a person's perspective and not have your head explode, and that they don't explode on you. It was just amazing to be, I can't tell you it, connection, human connection, being seen and heard as you are and accepted as you are is so important. And there has been this pushback against acceptance. But I have to say, for myself, for my healing, and for the world that I want to live in, to sit at a table and just see other people and love them for who they are, and to accept them and to feel connected, seen, and loved is everything. That's the fuel. That's the fire. That's what it is for me. I feel. All right, I'm going to give that one more dry.
One more dry.
One more dry, and then we're going to do the blendy blend.
Yeah. It's... Beth is here. Oh, hi, Beth. Hi, everybody. It's so, it's so nice that all you guys get to come by and see us and say hello. It's just, and that's what we really enjoy. Yeah, there you are. Hi, Beth. And then Bree and Vamika, I hope I said that correct. And Ramjet, that's pretty straightforward. There's a whole bunch of crew in here.
I do. I see some crew. So, like, our midnight philosophers are in the house. I saw Beth go by. Can I do an ostrich or emo sometime? Yes, I have a design for that I'm working on. And Vamika Sharma says, how can we make our own Stay Wet palette at home? Any suggestions? I actually did that like 8 years ago on my channel. And it's real fun. And it's one of the few videos that have my children in it. And it involves converting a cake palette. So it's definitely worth watching. Maybe one of the mods can find it. Now, this is my superpower.
Oh, it's the next step?
Is my superpower.
The 7th step.
The 7th step. This here is a Princeton round blender, and you should have a round blender or blending brush, not just for your face, but for your paint. And I really like this one, and I do have it for sale on my website. But you can find it a lot of places. Like, these are at Joann's. Like, you can find these a lot of places. And we're going to come in and we're going to start kind of shading and putting some color on her and making her more interesting with this brush. And this brush is fantastic for blending. Now I'm going to get it wet. And I'm going to go into my quinacridone pink. And I got too much on the brush, so sometimes I'll take it and I'll rub it out in a towel. Yeah, I'm rubbing it out in a towel.
You're just putting
So see here and kind of rub it out on a towel. And we're going to come here and it's almost like a glaze or a dust.
Like putting makeup on.
It's a little bit like putting makeup on. If I need to wipe it off on paper towel, I will. Some people like to use their finger, and I don't think that's too bad with quinacridone because it's a pretty mellow pigment. I wouldn't do that with every pigment like CAD. I wouldn't do it with CAD. You can have an allergy to that, but I'm going to come under the eye and across over the nose, just sort of blending out. So I designed her when I was starting to really get into my makeup. And I think that she may have been a version of that. You'll notice I'm adding a lot of water. This is a lot more water than I normally add. A lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just dusting. You could use golden glazing liquid if you weren't comfortable doing just the water. Come down on the sides here, just the pink. It is easy to over pink, so you can see I'm really wiping everything off the brush. I hear a little giggle over there. What's going on?
Just
I'm gonna come up over the eyes a little bit with some of this pink. Is Beth in the house being funny?
Everybody's in the house being funny.
I haven't seen TJ. Or Nadine.
Is it better? So it's better to rub it off or rinse it and
I rinse and rub. One is not better than the other. Both are strategies for offloading pigment on my brush. We're going to go like that and up over the eyes and just keep blending. Blending. And I'll grab a little bit of it here. I might need to get some water on my brush just to pick up some color. I think actually sometimes I'll use all the color and then be like, wow, I got to get back in it again. Come up here. Kind of around the forehead. I can even go into the painting. It's all right. And I can use my finger sometimes if it's just a lot of water. See how that works? This is a type of glazing, and it's pretty darn effective. Now I'm going to get my brush into my white paint. I haven't rinsed it out because the quin isn't going to hurt it. And I'm going to make a very, very, very light skin tone. Come above the nose. And kind of lighten it. Just a little ball right above the nose. Come up under the eyes a bit, under the eyebrows. Isn't this fun? It's like doing makeup on a face. I thought this would be something great to do, a little different than what we normally do. Introduce you guys to some different kind of painting techniques. See how we're just going around. Now this brush has a very light load. Look how lightly that's loaded. There's not glops of paint in there, right? We're not using tons and tons and tons of paint. I just rinsed off and I'm wiping off on my paper towel. And look, I can come back and blend that way too. Damp brush blends as well while the acrylic paint is still wet. Once it's dry, it pretty much doesn't, but if it's still wet, it absolutely will. You can blend. You can blend. It's like the can. I can put a little bit of white on my chin there. And come back into my pinks. May need more water. Get back into my pinks. My pink. Sometimes I can grab some skin tone. And I'm going to rinse off if I have too much pink on the eye. Another thing that you can do is use chalk pastels. It's really interesting. You can do chalk pastels in a similar technique to this. There's a doll maker I watch obsessively that uses a great chalk pastel technique to shade her art dolls. She's super funny.
Oh, that is cool.
It is really cool. I like her very much. You know, and you just play with this, a little highlight up there with a little white, and you just Doesn't take too much to get the shading. If you didn't get a good, I have a good difference between my neck and my face, but I'm going to come in and get some of my face color, maybe a little bit lighter on my brush, and kind of come here and blend on part of the neck a lighter skin tone. Because, well, remember I talked about matching makeup to your face, what part of your face? The forehead, the chin, all, you know. I'm going to tell you right now, we as a species are very weird about skin tone and all of those things and race and that. Seems to be an insanity we've suffered for a long time. But when you paint, right, and you really start painting people and you see just the amazing variety just in a single face, it does help you recognize that ridiculousness where it lives. It really does. It's real and it's happening, right? But it makes no actual sense.
Right.
I know that because a but why series of arguments can completely break it down. Yes, but why? Why do you feel that way? But why? That followed gross, like, up immediately by, like, do you have any statistics or facts for that?
And Nadine is in chat too.
Nadine! Very excited to see Nadine. It was okay, so we did have a really good time at the retreat, if you did not know. And I'm probably taking too long to do this painting, but I just want us to have a nice relaxing paint today. All right, so that is the little face blend. If we get back from that, we should have some blushing and some pink and some color and know where our features still are. Let's call that a step. We don't need to dry anything, but let's definitely call it a step. I'm going to put on my vision enhancers, my friends. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because what I can see, I can paint. I'm going to come in and I'm going to mix my Cad Red and my Quin Magenta together. And I'm going to use my number 6 round here. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 round. Oh, so good to have Nadine here. So we just had a great time. And I invite you to whatever we do next. We'll do something next again, and I highly suggest it. But also I suggest finding a place to just connect with people who can see you and hear you. Because we all need to feel connection and community. And honestly, with the, James Webb Space Telescope out there, we at this point should notice that at least in the near galaxy cluster, in spite of all the alien sightings, we are ostensibly alone. It is us on a rock, the very thin film between us and space. We should work it out, man, because we only have each other in this rock flying through space.
Yep.
So unless one of those alien things ends up being true, and no one's inviting me to a skiff, so I guess I'll never know. And I watched a lot of NASA and a lot of congressional people talk, and and then that never ever really says anything, and I'm just like, oh, so I've just got to be in a skiff to find out anything. I'm like, I don't own one of those. I use that mixture to paint in the lips. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm just saying, I don't own a skiff.
I don't know.
So I'm never going to know. That's what I came away after a bazillion hours of watching NASA people talk and congressional hearings. It was like, I'm just not invited to the party that's told all the facts. That's okay. I'm an art teacher and they can do that. I'm going to come in. I've mixed another little skin tone. I kind of want to come under the highlight on my nose just a smidge. But it's with skin tone, so it's not my dark line. Right? So it's there, but it's a subtly there kind of a thing. Sometimes I will come back 2 directions so that my little kind of nose area is weighted equally. I don't need it to be too big. I just need it to be a little bit. I'm going to take a lighter skin tone here. Really, really work it down. May even kind of come between and a little shaded area so I can add that in. Now I'm going to get a little bit of my white on my brush, and I'm going to come along my lid line. Right? This has got skin tone in it. I haven't rinsed the brush out. Isn't that nice? I love that very much. And come here and add maybe a little bright white highlight to the top of the nose. Always good times for me. Rinsing out, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of black and brown together. I like mixing black and brown together. You can do just black, but I like black and brown. Lower the vision enhancers, because I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a little tiny dark mark that's a curve. It's an upward bend on that curve. Then I'm going to come under my lid. I might need to come back with a little more paint. And then a little brown, more brown in here. Am I using Anastasia Beverly Hills Golden Ratio to do her brows? No, not at all.
You're just winging it?
I'm just winging it because honestly, you can. All right. I may thin that one white line a little bit. And what I mean by that is I might grab maybe, I think in this case, I might take a little bit of my pink here, kind of mix it into my skin tone. It's still too much. My line just got a little over thick there. That'll happen sometimes, and so what I'm trying to do here is to correct the thickness of the line. I've just rinsed my brush out, and I'm going to kind of blend this here. So it's a damp brush. I'm going to take away my pink work. Pink work is important work. And if I need to, I can blend. Yeah, it's a power tool with another brush. So even when I have a boo-boo, I'm not a woo-woo. I'm okay. I cannot think what I should paint next. We need to have a retreat in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Yes, we do. I think we really need to.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's going to be
I think that's going to happen. All right. So that is the face. That's the basis of the face. Oh, we're going to do the mouth. We're still letting the mouth dry. We're going to hit it later, and we'll start on the hair.
We're going to do a new step here?
Yeah, let's do a new step here. I'm going to put these brushes aside because I'll need them later. Step 9. Now, my advice on step 9 is to sort of preliminarily sketch in what you want to do with chalk first. And the reason I'm suggesting this, what am I doing up there? I'm just in weird places all over the canvas. So you're just being playful?
I wanted to have everyone have more room to see what was going on in the mixing because you were.
I actually like that.
I was thinking about moving you up.
Look,
there
I'm me. So, anyways, yeah.
You're surprised.
I'm so surprised. I'm going to use a chalk tool. This is a Dritz chalk tool. It has yellow chalk in it. And I'm going to come here and just make sure that I've got a nice S-curve coming off that goes back to the neck. And then I can come here and do another little S-curve coming off that might go back into the neck. I'll bring this down into a little S-curve. And then I will bring this out there. So I like to make the sort of shape of my hair as a preliminary sketch. And then I can come back and paint it in. And the reason for that is if there's a line you really, really don't like, you will be able to get rid of it much easier. I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre. I'm going to come along each side of the hairline where I put my chalk line and just make sure I have a nice line like that. Now I may come to the outside and also kind of accentuate that S curve. Again, this is the yellow ochre and the burnt sienna. And grab a little more burnt sienna on there. This is a number 8 Simply Simmons round brush with a synthetic filament. It is fantastic. I really, really like this brush. I'm going to add another little shadow right here next to it. And then coming up at the part. I'm not going to work too much up here. And the reason I'm not going to work too much at the part is I've got a whole crown of flowers. And that's just so if your part goes wrong for you, you don't got to worry. Boy, she's just looking pleasant, isn't she? We'll hit her lashes later. All right, I'm going to get a little of my yellow ochre and a little of my cad yellow together. And bring some of this color along my brown. If I need more water, I will dip my brush in the water to get it. And then sometimes I will mix in a loose amount of white. Watch what happens here. I mix in another loose amount of white. So this is just a fun way to paint in a blonde hair. I have all kinds of videos. I just grabbed a little cad yellow. See, I'm grabbing these colors very loosely. The trick is allowing things to blend on the canvas and don't come back and overwork them. Don't harass them into, non-existence. Grab a little burnt sienna. Shading in that part. Look at that go. Not hard. Every once in a while, it's important to rinse out and dry off your brush. How long does it take me to plan these tutorials? That is an interesting question, Christy.
That is.
Sometimes they come to me very, very quickly. There's some stuff like there's a ghost trend right now I want to do. And then sometimes they're months out. Like if it's a big involved project, it's months out.
Yep.
And then also there's
Yeah, no, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, and also sometimes there are paintings that I think are a good idea and they turn out really terrible, so they never make it. So it is basically how it works out is I paint every single day. Every single day, a couple paintings a day. And that's how I sort of handle that. I'm going to grab, see, notice I'm loading this on the toe, and then I grab another little bit on the toe, and then another little bit on the toe. And then it's about nice long strokes. Another little bit on the toe. Coming up. And I can come on the outside of the hair. I'm grabbing yellow ochre now. When you're painting hair, you don't really paint individual strands as much as you paint form, hue, value, texture, and the directionality of hair. And then you can do some individual hairs, but it's really best to work in hair in its totality. I dip in water. I'm going to grab a little burnt sienna here. Long brush strokes that allow the paint to mix on the canvas is the win on this technique. Let's come over here, whole thing again. Maybe a little yellow ochre. Nice stroke there. If I need to pick up a little color, I can do that. A little yellow ochre and white and come up from the bottom. That's just me improving a weird kind of flow off that I wasn't loving. A little yellow ochre, a little white. Come here. Will this technique work with any color hair? Yeah, like to fantasy hair. You can work this with any color hair. And it is okay. to paint or change my paintings, right? To fit your world. Like, so if you're doing this for your bestie, best friend, and your bestie, best friend has jet black hair, it is okay to change that up. Come in here and maybe with some burnt sienna, so kind of blend that in. I'll put my burnt sienna darkness back there. The darkness of the sienna. I mean, sometimes just little bits of white can really help to capture the highlights, especially on the blonde. And this particular blonde, like even in blonde hair, there's a lot of variety. So this is like more based on my own children's blonde hair, right? Than every blonde hair. Do you have any questions?
I was just over here coughing, so yes. Let me go back over and pull my screen back up, because a lot of them scroll by very quickly. So my mods are really nice; they catch. Now, Beth was asking, how did you see that? How long would it take if you weren't doing this as a tutorial?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I painted the original in 30 minutes.
Hmm.
I used to calculate it when like right now, we are intentionally taking a very slow stroll through the painting.
Right. And why do you do that?
Because I know I have a lot of beginners here, and, it's been a minute since we've been live, and we have, a lot of first-time people catching us. So speed sometimes you guys forget that you can pause me and rewind me, stop me, come back, visit me later, and you'll try to paint at my speed. And I find if I come through, I'm dusting at the edges so that my the hair looks like it's now going over the canvas.
If you find for some reason your screen is blurry, Crystal, this may be what you're seeing. If you look down in the lower right hand corner of your screen, there's a gear. Click on the gear and then go to quality and select 1080p. That'll force it to go to the high resolution. You're probably stuck in a lower resolution mode. And so you won't be able to see everything quite as sharp as it could be.
I'm taking a little burnt sienna and painting back in the flow, right? So that the hair, can really, really cascade is the goal. I love hair. It's a cascade. Now I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna, just burnt sienna on my brush. And this is a little bit tricky. I'm going to be on the toe. I'm going to paint very carefully around my face. And this is the hair that is in shadow, right? So it's underneath and not in the light. Bring a little bit of that up. See, I just brush that up to create that flow, and then I can come back up with yellow ochre to create the flow as well. And we just have a nice time doing it. We can just have a nice time doing this. Yeah, I used to calculate when I did sip and paints that if a painting took me a half an hour, it would take anyone else 2 in a live class. If it took me an hour, it would take anyone else 3. And I was much slower as a painter. Like much slower. It's interesting, like trying to recalculate. I've got to get back in the habit of painting with people again. I'm just doing a mix here. I just want to thicken this hair out here.
Now, Shirley was asking, does the round brush have a point to the end? All my rounds do, so there's a difference.
All your rounds do have a point.
Oh, so that's a filbert.
No, this is a round.
Oh, is that a round?
And round
okay.
should have a point.
I don't know.
That would be what a round is. A round should come to a point.
Okay, cool.
It should be a round brush that comes to a point. I'm missing that question.
Oh yeah, I think that they were. Me too. So I wasn't sure what.
Yeah, your round brush should come to a point. My round brush is coming to a point. It's not a really sharp point. I'm gonna be real honest. So there's only a few brushes that really hold a crisp round.
It's pointy.
That's very pointy. That they don't do this sort of, I don't know, like flaring or. It's where you can, where the toe opens and all the hairs kind of open up, and it's frustrating. But sometimes what you do is you learn to make it be a tool for your advantage. I'm just making sure that my surface is covered. And then my hair has the nicest flow. All right, that's good. Let's dry that all up.
All
It's like a nice little stroll. I usually like go boom, 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 boom hair, but well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, sometimes when I'm here,
gotta get a hair highlight.
well, I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow ochre here because that brown was just, it was a little much. Right, and I just want to blend those little roots just a little bit. Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Thank you for the positivity you guys bring into my life.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to dry it. John will talk to you for a while. It'll be great.
There we go. I will talk to you for a while, and it will be great. So, thank you, Pam. Yeah, it's so nice to see everybody here, and we really, really appreciate your support. Just sort of like more than you know. It's so thank you for helping and supporting what we do here. We really love doing it, and that's what we do all the time. Make more videos, and we have more videos coming. So many more videos. We're working on new shorts. Those are great ways for us to experiment with things. And then we've got lots more regular live videos, and we're thinking about going live on a more regular basis. So that's going over to make sure I got all the chats. Yeah, this is it's really nice to catch everybody in there. So what she?
You guys, the brushes I'm using.
Oh, I was
and
wondering what
sizes.
you're doing there.
Yeah, this is the number 8 Simply Simmons, and this is the number 6 Sepia by Raphael. The number 6 is closer to my old number 4. Now we're going to get our little brush out. And if you want to know what any of the brushes are, they are also in the description below. Each one of them is listed out because I have started to write down what I use to paint these paintings months ahead of when I actually teach these paintings so that I know what the brushes could be. Shocking plan that I have. All right. So now I'm going to come here and get my quinacridone and my Cad Red together again. I think I'm going to give my top lip a second coat. Yeah, she's going to end up. I always give myself room for my lips to grow because, like, you know, if you make a boo-boo, it's easier to make it bigger than smaller. So that's like, they always get a little bigger than I start out. I give myself room to grow bigger. I'm going to add a little white to my mix. Not much, but enough to make the little lower lip just a shade lighter than the top. Carefully underneath that little bit of the... And then I'll come here with some white paint, just white, on the tip of my brush. Adding tiny little reflections. It's a little downward stroke. See, they're very small. Just a little splash. A little bit of something. Something. And then we're going to deal with the eyelashes. Oh my goodness, the eyelashes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my black paint and I'm thinning it with a couple drops of water and my number 1 round detail brush. And then I'm going to do my left eye first because that's my weakest eye. And then I'm going to do something John's going to love, not love. I'm going to turn my canvas on its side.
That's fine.
And the reason I'm turning it this way or to an angle, I try to get it to a position where it's the easiest for me to do the brush stroke. Lashes are shortest on the inside. They become longer as they go out. Watch your brush and make sure it's not carrying like some extra little drop of water. And I'm making little flicking, curving, backward strokes so that our dreamer here can dream. Put that back there. So I like to do that because that's the angle that I struggle at.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I turn it at. We all have a directionality that our brushstroke is strong in and a directionality that our brushstroke is weak in. Thank you so much, Ramona. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Just bringing little tiny lashes together. This is, for the most part, the most frustrating part of it for most people is the lashes. Do the side that's hardest first because it's pretty easy to match on your strong side. You can look at it and be like, oh, it was kind of like that. And then easily come in and be like, oh, I got it. That's my trick. Works on mascara and putting on falsies too. Liner. Anything. Do your hard eye first. I just like to make sure that these are full, lush little lashes.
They're lashed out.
Yeah, no, she's got maximal lashes. They're maximal.
There's a good question here.
I got a good answer.
So Jean was asking, you have a lot of traceables listed.
So many.
Now, do you have video for each of these traceables?
Yeah. And there's more videos than there are traceables. I don't know, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. We've never had the team look at it. I believe I've done more paintings than Bob.
Probably.
I may be there. Like officially, I may have surpassed that number. I think even more than Bill Alexander. I've done a lot of paintings, but I have to have the team verify, which is why I never go like get chuffed and like, puff up and be like, I've done this. I haven't confirmed that, but I suspect from the numbers I heard they factually did and what we've done since we've been online. It's right now we're having to. It's
You've done
two trucks to move the art.
Yeah, it's just
two trucks to move the art, and the art has to live in a storage unit. Because it can't. It would like I could hang in every inch of the house a painting and have it on the ceiling, and I would still need a storage unit.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Because I used to sell the work all the time. Like all the time, before YouTube, I sold my paintings, and so they didn't build up so bad. It was like you get a collection together,
right,
and then you get to sell the work. But now it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Everyone who came to the retreat twice got a painting.
That's true,
but that's not going to be a good plan for me to get rid of the extras. That's not a good strategy for like destashing.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a video for each of those
paintings.
Yeah.
Full step-by-step videos.
Yeah.
It's just, if you like one, there's a video. If you're having trouble finding the video, you can always ask us in these live shows. If we're not live, you can write us at support@theartsherpa.com.
Yes.
Just so appreciate Pam and Ramona. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to dry this up, and then we're going to do the floral crown. That'll be fun.
The flowers. Everybody loves the flowers. And yeah, if you go out to the calendar, also, Jean, if you go to our calendar, it shows the paintings that we did on those days, and you can kind of go backwards in time to go see all of the previous paintings. So that's another way you can kind of go back and find things just looking through the calendar.
Yeah, it's a good way. Traceables, the video pages. Pinterest. I mean, we're everywhere. All right. I'm going to be back into my sepia number 6. This is about like the Art Sherpa 4 rounds, about the size that this is, similar brush. And I'm going to mix up a little of my phthalo green and burnt sienna together. I like that mix a lot when you just kind of knock back a little phthalo green with burnt sienna. I wipe my brush off on paper towel, so it's pigmented, but it's not so pigmented that I can't control it. And I'll come over and very slowly and carefully add a little of this color to my yellow. To get that base yellow, I can always add a drop of water. And I'm going to come here and try to make a very light little curl. If the line breaks, don't worry about it. Don't go back and connect it. That's where everything's going to go wrong. You just have to know where you're painting. And that one will be an S curve. S curve. Maybe one can kind of come down off here. We're just going to draw some vines. These are just places that I know my vines can go. And that's what I'm trying to do. There we go. So we have those beginning lines of vines. They're not perfect or any of that, but they are totally ready to go.
They're vine lines.
They're vine lines. I'm going to load up my brush, mostly on the toe. And I'm going to come at the end and just do touch pull strokes back to create the vines. That ghost video is super cute, says Jean. Thank you. I like the ghost video too. How you doing, Jean? It's just so good to see everybody. Bree's like, I'm always stuck in low resolution mode. Like in life or just on YouTube? Because I feel like I could be stuck in low resolution mode sometimes in life. Especially lately. I'm going to talk to you. We're going to do this everywhere. Where we have a vine. I'm up with Spider. He's watching a thing, and what he was watching was an Unreal Engine, which is a type of video game engine, with characters that are truly AI driven.
Right. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of that new stuff coming down the pipeline.
Oh, it's scary. It's beyond Free Guy. I was just like, that's not okay. Like, there's AIs in there. They're like, yeah, I just wander around the city. I'm trying to enjoy my life. I know I'm a program. I don't know how to help you. It's just crazy. Some of them are hostile. I'm just like, the world got real weird when I wasn't looking, and I must just be on that low resolution mode is what it is. Adding a little more yellow. I can always grab a little more green and a little more water to improve flow. You can also do lots of little leaves, just loose. Some of them can be big. Look at this. Some of them can be small. When I want to do little leaves, it's a very tiny, short pressure stroke. There was also this really cool moment where the bug, we were outside and there were all these lightning bugs in the Poconos. And so we're all just sitting around this little campfire area talking and chatting, and there's these lightning bugs. I think Diana was with us, and Nicole and Andrew and Honey. And we're all out there, and the bug, you might guess, likes bugs and is just very excited about glow friends and bug friends and goes, glow friend, like does this thing, and immediately it goes beep, right at the fingertip.
I do believe that was their first experience with glow bugs.
That was their first experience with glow bugs?
I do believe so.
Wow, I did not know that.
And that was part of why it was so...
Even better?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was, first of all, for glow bugs, that was just a great moment generally, not my first experience, and I can tell you right now, as a glow bug pro, that was pretty magical.
Yeah.
That bug liked you. That bug liked you a lot. See, we're just putting those little vines everywhere. Isn't that fun?
It is.
Is there any magnolia traceables? 3, I think, Lindsay. There's 3, maybe 4. The team can give you the exact number, but we've got many. You get to choose.
There's a couple.
There's a few. You may choose. I've got it. I do paint. Like, I have never gotten that manatee painted yet, but I have painted a lot of magnolia. I am going to paint the manatee. Oh, the humanity. So just put the little leaves around. Cause she pretty. Though it was suggested I could have done fall. I designed her in summer. I should have a, I'm gonna switch over to fall soon. So I'm just placing these leaves anywhere. These are leaves. This is like wild hair. I don't care. That's my leaves are wild. And we have tons of flowers, right?
Yeah.
So there's just a lot to help, make it super pretty. I will say on a brush stroke technique like this, the brush can help a bit. All brushes can do a version of this, but a good round makes it easier. Just adding little leaves everywhere. I like to leaf it up. All right, we leafed it up.
It did. It looks good.
It's super leafy.
Very.
Super leafy. I think I said glow bug friend, but call them fireflies too. Yeah, no, like glow bug friend, and it was like right at the tip of the finger. It was fantastic.
What? Pretty neat.
I know that's a weird story to be that excited about, but yeah, when you were there, it was just like there is magic in the world, and also there were s'mores, so one could just go have. That was very exciting.
That was very good. Yeah, no, it was a very fun event. We did it. It was at the original PGA Golf Tour hole, uh, and it's on the Delaware Water Gap. And it's what that basically means is there's this place where the Delaware River kind of splits and makes this little island that's kind of out, and it does this. I don't know. I think there's some interesting water features around there, but it moves real slowly. And I was able to sort of walk out into it up to about my knees, pretty well. You could see to the bottom. It was real pretty. There were people out kayaking, and it's just a really pretty area. There's all these great big lawns where everybody kind of hangs out and does stuff. So very Poconosy, or like you ever saw the movie Dirty Dancing. It's like all up in that type of territory. So it was a lot of fun.
I agree. It was fun.
It was. I was just talking about where it was and walking around the water and stuff.
New step.
New step. Okay.
I'm going to add some water to my white just to improve the flow, and I'm going to load my brush up with white. And then I'm going to dip the tip of the brush in some blue. I'm going to come here at the end of my vine, and I'm going to make a 5 petaled flower. I just take the brush and just, it's like kind of a technique you guys are probably pretty familiar with, where you're just pressing the brush to make the shape that you want. I might also improve the flow of the blue. I'll do that one sort of intermixed. Come up here. I want them to be blue like forget-me-nots, but I like to have a little white in it so they have personality like a flower might have. Just making a 5 petal flower. You can see it. Just turn the brush around and that makes the shape of the flower. And we're finishing it off. You can grab some white and blue here with a Posca pen. So that's always. Remember, you got to leave room for roses. Yep. It can help to turn the canvas, like to do each petal, so you're always petaling on your strong stroke, but for the purposes of us filming, I can do them bigger and smaller. So I did a small one there. Do them bluer or whiter. Oh, Beth is noticing that there's some cool, like, you can highlight a person's name. Oh, there is somewhere a list of like hacks to watch YouTube. And we'll tell you all those things that you can do. Let's thin this out a bit with some water. So what I'm doing is I'm just improving the flow of this paint because I want to thin it so that it will flow off my brush. There we go. That's a nice loosely mixed one. And then you can see when it's like that, then it really, really comes right off the brush. I don't need to be too concerned through here because I've got roses coming through. I think I did my flowers, the blues. I think I reversed the order. I just want to make sure that I've got blue flowers everywhere. I like doing them all. The more flowers, the better, is the theory. And I think that's a pretty good theory. Just like to place them around. You might paint out some leaves, and that's okay. You can paint out some leaves. Might put one down here. All right. Let's dry that thoroughly, and then we'll do our roses.
Okay. Yeah, and so good to see everybody in there in chat catching up. Oh, hi, Sherry. Nice to have you here for the first time. Yes, and there are lightning bugs in Texas and in Michigan. You know, I don't know. I saw as many when I was living in Texas as I have since I've been here in Michigan. Even when I was in Pennsylvania, there weren't as many. I remember living in Missouri. There were some there, but man, up here in Michigan, there are a lot of them. It's really cool. One of the things that I've always enjoyed going outside and seeing all the little glow bugs flying around. So, Virgo, can I paint your logo? I think you could paint it. There's a, I don't know what you want to, what you would do with it after that, but you can paint it, I guess. It's up there. I don't think we've ever done a tutorial on that though.
On what?
Our logo.
No, I've never. The one with all the paint tubes that's here?
I think so, because Virgo.
Oh, that's actually shout out to Stephanie Bergeron. Helped design that.
Yeah, they were like, "Can I paint it?"
So it'd be weird.
They were like, "Can I paint your logo?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess you could paint our logo. I don't know what you do with it, but actually, we have pins of that too."
We do. I'm going to take some dark green.
Oh, I gotta give you a new step.
Okay, yeah, give me a new step. I'm just taking some of my dark green, and I'm going to make sure that I add some little leaf lines. A few places. I just want to make sure that there's some personality to some of the leaves so that they're very dimensional. Little leaf veins. Just a little bit. We're coming back with Poscas, so it's pretty chill. Everything, and we can always fill out with more like lighter leaves once all our flowers are in. Now our roses are our Cad Red and our Quinacridone Magenta. All right, I'm going to load up my round brush, same round brush, and I'll come here in the center first. And basically, they're just concentric circular strokes coming out like that. As I go out further, I'll add some white to my brush and come back in and define the rose. See how that process went? So maybe even easier than my easiest rose. But you've got to be kind of chill about the result. Right? You guys, I say the word rose and then that gets in your head and then you're like, oh, it's got to be like the rosiest rose. It don't. Some of them can be pinker, some of them can be redder. Come back in with a little white paint. See, it's just on the toe. I can even go through and then like do like another one right there that's more pinked. And then you can put dark in the center. So there's a couple ways to get there. You don't have to just do it the one way. Now, because my paint isn't drying too quickly on me, I'm going to be able to put out a bunch of the blurps at first in the red and then come back with the white, and it won't be dry yet. I have those three, and I can come back with my white and go bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. You can do this with a one-stroke technique as well. Really isn't a right or wrong way to go. Right? So don't feel stressed on it. Don't feel worried about it. When I wanted to define the flowers, I just come back with light highlights. Just making sure I've got enough paint. Back in with some white. Oh, and I've even got some of this white that I thinned. So the rose happens in the highlights. Right? That's when we start to see it.
That's true. That's when it really starts to come. You can sort of it pops out. Otherwise, it was just a red blurb.
Otherwise, it's just a red blurb. And it also works because the paint's mixing on the canvas. While these are having a dry, right, I can come back with my blue and white if I need to fix anything that's booped. And come here into the green. Let's make some very, very light lemon yellow green. So that is the burnt sienna and the phthalo green with a lot of yellow. And you can even add a little white to it. You can add these other greens into your arrangement. See, right over to fill out if you need to. You can come into the dark green too. So I went and grabbed dark green and filled that out some.
Really makes them pop.
It just gives it a little extra, then it's not just floating, right? When flowers layer over each other, when you do these types of things, it keeps them from just doing a total float. Now, I need to dry everything to even remotely do another layer.
Okay.
So let's dry it.
Dry. And that's important so you don't drag the layers of paint across so they stay nice and crisp as you add next layers and layers and layers, because I think that she has more layers. There's definitely a little butterfly-y thing that I think is coming, but I think that there's some highlights. And yeah, this is just coming right along. And it will be available on our website. You'll be able to theartsherpa.com. You'll be able to get the traceable for it, find a project. And now we even sell all the art supplies that you would need to do this, which you can find them there. But we don't have all the links all tidied up into the links description down below yet, because we haven't learned to do that yet. We just got the website working functionally, so it's you can go check that out. It's coming along, and yeah, I think she's just thoroughly dry. All right, because I know what she's. You ready for the next step?
I'm ready for the next step.
All right.
All right, now I'm going to grab some just, it's okay if it has blue in it, but I'm going to grab some of my white paint. And I'm going to make little tiny flowers here and there. If they pick up color, I don't mind, because again, they're flowers, so these are tiny little buds or blooms or vines. So I just do little touches.
Yeah.
See how that just fills that out with regular flowers? And another trick that I can do, if I want to just have an easy peasy time with it, is a trick called Golden Fluid Acrylic Titanium White or craft paint. I like the Titanium White by Golden better than craft paint. It's the same color white. But if I don't want to have to keep thinning heavy body paint, this allows me to do a lot in very little time.
Oh, yeah.
So I can come here and be like, oh, this is maybe like a little spike. The trick to any crown like this is you've got to make sure that it feels full. You gotta plant the flowers. You've gotta make the crown. There's just no way around it. Oops. And because I'm heavy-handed, I've got to be super careful. I'm just putting little flowers everywhere. And they're just touches. These are just petals. Sometimes there are flowers that you don't really even see them as flowers. They just...
Yeah.
Right? You just do little 3 little dots.
They're all dotty.
Well, think of baby's breath.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
This is like the baby's breath of this little crown. And we're just putting little... Sometimes they follow the vines. Sometimes they make little blooms. All right, so if I go 1, 2, 3, and I leave an opening, that's going to end up being a bloom. And little spikes that can go anywhere. Another thing that I can do is I'm going to take my black paint, because this has to dry to even work. Butterfly trick. I have to make sure I don't have butterflies where I just put white dots, because if I do, I have to dry those white dots. But basically, just do little 2 counter strokes. I'm just going to make a little butterfly. A little upward. Sometimes people like to give their little bodies first. That helps them. I find that, their bodies are, like, even if I do the body first, that can help, sometimes position the wings.
Mm-hmm.
But it's black on black, so it really can be done both directions. You can put as many butterflies or glow bugs as you want.
Just be free to create.
Just free to create. That's really, you really are, though. Free to create. For sure. For sure. Also, at this time, I can take my blue and white and make sure that some of my petals layer over the roses. See?
Mm-hmm.
So that they are on top and under each other. Dry. Everything super thoroughly dry. Super thoroughly dry.
Yeah. And that, getting those, the black underneath those butterflies really helps in the next layer to create that effect. Makes it much easier. So, but you'll really want to make sure you get them thoroughly dry so that they don't leak into the next color. Because if you don't get it all the way dry, the black will pick up will be picked up by the next color when you put over the top of it. So you'll see that she's very careful to make sure that she thoroughly dries those so that it doesn't do that. And that's pretty important. Is it? Oh, I will ask some of these questions as they come up. I think that she's reading them right now. So we'll make sure that we get as many questions as we can. And yeah, she just really has got to make sure that she gets that thoroughly dry. Because if you don't, it'll pick up that paint as I was mentioning. There we go.
Ooh, that was fun. So this is an interesting stage to be in on this. A lot of times you might be like, oh, I hate, my flowers look crazy, or, something about it you don't like. We're still pulling it all together. It's still about to resolve. It's still also about to all come together. The biggest thing that you can do as a beginner is just believe that you will get there. Because sometimes it feels like you're never, ever going to get there. I saw something that does it help to make sounds? Asked Nana Bates. Yes, I absolutely believe it does help to make sounds. Keeps you from taking yourself too seriously. To get too seriously in your head, you'll give yourself the yips. You won't be able to finish the painting. The yips is a sports term that I have taken on that I don't actually probably know the correct meaning of. So this is Ted Lasso information. But basically the idea is that you get in your own head. Yeah. Right? You just get in your own head. So sometimes going boop, 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 boop reminds you that you're just painting and you're not being too serious. Lindsay wants to know, is it normal to be where you can't think of what you're going to paint next? Yeah, totally normal. Very normal for all creative people in every creative pursuit everywhere. All right, that's interesting. Bree Snyder, I posted the first painting on Facebook yesterday from the beginner playlist. I'm using multimedia paper for cost efficiency. What can I tape the paper on so I can make it easier to paint? You can always tape it on a board, just a MDF board. Just tape it right on a board. I've got acetate sheets, just something that's firm, and there's desks and stuff. Hit resale shops and stuff like that. You can find lots of things. You just tape it in. Another repositional dry mount. I should do a video about repositionable dry mount, because you basically spray the back of the sheet of your paper, and the back of your sheet of your paper becomes sticky, and then you can stick it on something but still peel it up and reposition it. That's a good thing. All right, and the brush I've got right now is the number 6 Raphael Sepia. Right, so I'm very excited about that. Let me get back into my painting reference. Okay, everything is dry. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my white here, and I'm going to make sure I come into my butterfly. And paint back a little bit of it. How would I do that? That's so I can put the yellow. I don't cross over onto the body, the center line here, because I want to be able to put Mr. Cutie Pants here. And he, needs to have a body to exist. So I'm going to try to respect that. Where I can respect it. I'm doing short little strokes just around his little body. I'm just doing short little strokes. Beep, 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 beep. Now, while he's having a dry, on the description you will have it had the Posca pens. So we're going to start with a white Posca pen. Let's make it, yeah, it's a felt one. So this is the 3mm. We're ready to go. And I'm going to come around each of my flowers with this. You could use your detail brush. That would be completely fine to do. Nothing wrong with it. I like paint pens. I think we're going to incorporate them. If you had a basic set, this is a Posca 3mm paint pen. This is acrylic paint in a pen that just comes out. You can go on rocks. You can go on mailboxes. I'm going to go through and do all of these first. The other thing I want to do is make sure their centers are white. See what I'm doing? They may already be white, but if they're not, I can put that in. I don't have to be perfect on the line of my flower. And so my flowers start to take this other type of shape. Has everyone heard of Posca paint pens yet? I'm wondering.
Hey, that is a good question.
You guys heard of the Poscas? There's a couple paint pen companies that are great. And when you don't have a paint pen, just get out your little, I don't know where I put my detail brush down.
Detail brush?
Yeah, you just take your little white paint and very carefully go. I just like the paint pen, and we've been talking about doing more with them. So
it's a convenient packaging.
It is a convenient application, yes, in packaging. And also, it creates a warmth and charm, I think, to the piece. When you start to mix up the media and you play with changing that up so you can see that the things were clearly done with different types of art supplies, that's multimedia, well, that can make the work seem more accessible and friendlier. Traditionally, because multimedia is often associated with crafting, and crafting as a community is so associated with friendlier kind of art, right? More accessible art. It's art we use, art we live with. That's really what it is it's art that is part of our lives that we interact with and we touch and we get. Like our teapot is art, but it's also something that we use. And so because of that association, even though that's not like really technically true, a lot of times when you use these tools in your paintings, it can give them a certain feeling. Important to know too, if you're trying to be in a very serious juried art show and your multimedia piece might be not seen as seriously because of that. So you always have to be aware of perception as well, even though perception is often very silly. If your roses were giving you any grief, you can come in and do, look at that. If they just caused you any problems. Okay. Put that to the side for a second. And I had in there listed orange and yellow. So let's get orange and yellow out. You can use just paint for this if you want. These are the 1 millimeters. They're just what I have in. I actually think the 3 millimeters are better. So you can do this with your paint pen as well as with your paint.
Your paint. Is there a way to keep the Posca pens from kind of spitting when you use them on canvas?
3 millimeter. The pointed nibs are spitters. Yeah, you can be gentle, and you can really, if you're getting spitting, that's just about your speed, right? Speed and amount of pressure and the roughness of the surface. You could also just use this CAD, right? Like we'll do a couple with the other. You could also just come here and do this in the center if you wanted to do that. So either is okay, right? I just did one with a brush.
Either way.
Either way, right? You can do these with the pens.
You can do it.
You can just make it work for you. I like the 3 millimeters because they're a felt nib and they're less spitty. That's why I enjoy them. All right, I can come around, make sure that's primed. Still not. I may be out of ink on that one. I'm out of the inks, and that's okay. I've got paint.
You have lots of paint.
So much paint. So there's never a reason to just be like, oh no! Right. So if I come back through, I can take a little cad red and cad yellow together, and that makes orange. So like the pens were just I've been just using them really heavily lately. And again, I think the 3 millimeters last longer. And they also hold up against rock painting and more multimedia use. In my opinion. Which is pretty informed.
Yeah.
I can use the paint pen, or I can come here and put some antennas on with my brush. Right, so you can paint pen or put antennas on with your brush. Yay. Just like to make sure that they're,
Yeah.
And then I like to make little dots around the wings so they feel a little bit like butterflies. Come up their bodies, and then I dot the tips of the wings. And you can even come and line the antenna. So it's really whatever makes it work for you. And then another thing that you can do is you can come in and white line out. See how that suddenly gets real cute fast?
Yeah.
That's why I was like, you don't got to worry about it. Gets real cute real fast. Just like the flowers, you can go in and absolutely, I might come back with a little bit of that orange since my orange wasn't working. Make sure that there's some orange and yellow in the center of these. There we go. I'm very glad Rose is going through kind of a family crisis right now, and
Yeah.
is using art to help. And I just want to add that art absolutely is helpful for many, many, many people when they're dealing with grief or trauma. There will be times in your life where art isn't helpful.
Right.
And I don't want anyone to panic if they have that experience. I want you just to know that every time we have trauma or we have grief or we have a crisis, it hits us differently. It can hit us in a lot of different kinds of ways. And sometimes painting will come in and be the exact right solution in that moment. And sometimes we can't find our creativity to claw our way out of a hole. So I just want to say it's just really important that we prioritize mental health, and that if, we need painting and that's what's going to help us, we do that. If we need sleep, if we need self-care, and if we need medical attention, that we get all those things when we need them, because those life events, like what Rose is describing and different people in chat are now describing, those are really intense stuff, and you don't want to try to white knuckle your way through those moments. Go through those moments supported. Go through those moments if you have the blessing of having people in your life. Use the tools that you've got. If it's art, let it be art. If it's music, let it be music. And if it's just sitting in the quiet space waiting for those things to come back to you, let that happen. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. Oh, my goodness. We did this today.
This was pretty good.
I'm not unhappy with her. Now, because I used the paint pen when I painted her, I get to sign her with a paint pen. Because rules. That's actually a weird art thing that you get to do, because when they're trying to appraise art, they'll look at the materials that you used. And if they're trying to say, oh, this is definitely from you or from somebody else, I'm not saying this is a problem any of us are going to have. I'm not even saying this is a problem I'm going to have.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you were an artist who was going to have this problem, you might not know this. I was a pretty accomplished artist before a well-informed friend who juries a lot of shows and hangs a lot of shows and works with a lot of museums mentioned to me that was something that people look at and look for. And, that might be something cool that you can do. Be like, oh, well, I used some of this gold leaf here. You could gold leaf your signature then.
Yeah.
Because it's integrated into the painting. Okay, guys, I'm telling you what, I'm coming out of the retreat. I'm feeling great. The good news is right now that I've got to make a lot of videos for my channel, because we had not been making videos. I've been getting, if you've written me and said, it just doesn't seem like you're making as many videos as you used to, you are correct. Between the move and everything going on in our lives, we were not at speed. We are going to be at speed.
We got everything back up and working now.
So check the subscribe button right now and make sure that the bell is on. Make sure your notifications are turned on for me. If you don't like to use that system, hit the website and sign up for the newsletter, and also for our texting system. That way that if we're making an announcement, you don't miss out. The other place I always make events on Facebook, because I find them a very useful tool for us. So like, I'll go to my Facebook page, because I know on Facebook, you practically need a map, right? I'm all over that place. I got groups. I got my personal page. I got the Art Sherpa official page. On the Art Sherpa official page, that's where I do events. And when I schedule things out, or I've got designs coming up and everything, I will put them there as well. And sometimes that can be a reminder those things are going on. Also in group, I try to have a reminder happening in group. And the reason this is so important right now, and what I learned from the retreat, and I'm going to say again, is that COVID, the lack of civility in the world, that's a good way of putting it, the complete falling away of civil behavior, online rhetoric and discourse, these things have made it so hard for us to see each other and reach each other. Yeah. And you might be in a place where you feel like a person different than me can't see me or understand me. And I'm going to say to you, not only can they see you and they can understand you, they and you have so much more in common than you think. And it's so important to start trusting. I know I've been shut down. I've been shut down by just so much toxic stuff happening around me. And meeting people that can help you come out of that and that you can be your true self with, your just completely authentic self. And you can say, you can ask a question where it's okay to not know something. Remember that? Remember when it was okay to not know things and be curious?
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you all of the things that we cannot know. It's just such a deep well. I mean, maybe the AI knows, but we're just human beings. And so you want people around you who you can ask a question of and that you can be curious about. You can be like, man, I heard everybody fighting about this thing, but I didn't really get what it was about. Ask the question and not get rhetoric or anger, but just get beautiful, amazing answers. Start trying to trust people again is what I'm saying, because I think we've lost that connection. I know you guys are aware kids are going through a lot. Everybody's got a theory about what it is. I think the theory is that all the grown-ups are fighting. And it makes their world seem scary and unstable. And we don't seem like we're in charge and we know what we're doing. And I think we need to stop. I have to tell you, I think we all know too much. I was talking to John the other day about what I didn't know about my grandparents.
Yeah.
What my grandparents didn't tell me, what they didn't put into the world, what was their personal business versus what they put out there. We've really got to think as the grown-ups that are leading this young generation who are going to have to solve some pretty big problems. We got to show them how. So like first get your own emotional gas mask on, get out there, make sure you're making friends and you're talking to other people. If you don't have that opportunity in the world, you come here. You come to the live shows, you talk to us. We're going to try to do more events. We're going to try to do stuff. We're going to make an update video to explain all the weirdness.
Yes.
Well, to the people who are involved in all the weirdness, not all the weirdness, you're very lucky. But just the basic highlights of it so you guys know like where we are and why we are and what's coming up. Because this connection, this moment, this is where it's at. This is fantastic. I agree. But it's also that we're all here together, painting together. I'm going to keep expanding this idea. This is where it's at. This is where we're going to heal. This is where we're going to put 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and all the craziness in the mirror. And you know what? It's going to get better and easier for us because we're going to see each other.
Yeah.
Really, really see each other. And like, let's get back to, I haven't met a stranger. Let's get back to, well, I've never heard of that. Tell me more. Let's get back to curiosity and kindness and compassion and light. And let's do that here. So if you don't have that community in your area, you come here. If you do have that community, bring that community that you've got here and let's just be friends. Be good to yourself, be good to each other. And I'm going to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.